Hello everyone, today we have very interesting dating stories. Enjoy watching, do not forget to like and subscribe. Story 1 from user Edgar Pickle. Back in college, I met this girl and asked her if I could take her out to dinner. She said yes, I was ecstatic. Well, then I had to figure out where to take her to give her an idea of who I am and what I'm about. So I tried to do something that was thoughtful. I've learned that there are two types of gifts, expensive and thoughtful. If you can do expensive, which I couldn't, then you'd better go hard on the thoughtful. This was taking place in the US South, but she was a freshman from Pennsylvania. I started thinking about things that be new and interesting to her. The answer came to me in a flash. Bojangles, I would take her to Bojangles, it's cheap. It used to have fairly decent food, but most of all it's southern and we'd be able to discuss regional differences in food and culture. Of course, it's also fast food. Really crappy fast food. The evening of the date arrived. I drove her to the place and talked all about fried chicken and the South and tea and how it must be different from the North. We got there and ordered at the register, then moved down to pick up our tray of food. Fancy. We waited and waited. I tried to make some small talk. You know, the small talk you make when something could interrupt your conversation at any moment. Then we waited some more and more. My dinner fried chicken was on the tray. The drinks were on the tray. Her sandwich was not. So we stood there with the silence growing more and more awkward. Minutes rolled by that felt like ages. Finally, an employee noticed us standing there and said, "Did you need something?" I said yes, that we needed her sandwich. The employee turned around and grabbed the sandwich from the place it had been sitting the whole time. We'd been standing there and put it on the tray. It had been there since the beginning. Not a great start. I picked up the tray and started walking back to a table with her. But there was an issue. Bojangles used to have the best sweet tea. So I always got a large. The cups they use for the larges are the kind that are smaller at the bottom. So they'll fit in your cup holder in your car. That's great for a car, but not so great for balancing them on a tray. It fell over. Fortunately, it fell over onto the tray, but not before knocking her drink off of the tray. Onto the floor, she had gotten the smaller drink, which came in the waxed paper cup, instead of the plastic cup that the larges are in. That's important, because it means that when her cup hit the ground at about a 30-degree angle, the cup crushed and launched the liquid inside out like a cannon onto her foot, drenching her in Pepsi or Coke or some soft drink. Being gentlemanly, I went and got her a new drink, got back to the table and started trying to eat. I had ordered fried chicken, which I realized would mean that I had to eat with my fingers, which was stupid on a first date, not wanting to look dumber. I decided I'd try to avoid eating with my fingers by using the plastic cutlery provided by the store, which would have been a fine idea if not for the fact that Bojangles only provides you with a spork, not a fork, not a spoon, not a knife. A spork, a plastic spork. To be exact, I'm trying to pry the chicken off the bone with this plastic spork. And it's going nowhere. I can't get the chicken off the bone. I dug in a little deeper and really pulled, which bent the spork back a little, which served as a spring to launch my chicken breast across the table. I actually caught it before it could hit the floor. I remember thinking to myself, well, just enjoy this chicken, because this date is going nowhere. I decided to just forget it and eat the dang chicken with my fingers. She was obviously not going to be going out with me anymore, so I decided not to worry about impressing her. Just try to get out of the situation without looking any dumber than I already did. I reached down and pulled off a nice piece of chicken with my fingers, and I missed my mouth seriously. I jammed the chicken onto my face. I don't know how I missed it, but I did. I just missed, which of course smeared chicken grease all over my cheek. The girl was looking at me like she was waiting for me to tell her it's just a prank. Bro, I felt so dumb. We finished eating in silence. Finally, I said, "Well, let me take you back to your dorm." I gathered up all the trash on the tray, walked over to the garbage can, and accidentally threw the whole thing into the trash. All of it. Cups, the spork napkins, the tray. All of it. I looked at the girl. She looked at me, and we both ran to the car. I've had some other bad dating experiences, but this one took the cake. I also remember being shocked when the car started when we were leaving after the night it had. I was fully expecting to have to walk the several miles back to campus in the dark. Story 2 from user Catching Rays. I was deployed overseas in the early 90s when I came home. My family was telling me about my little sister's older friend. I should stay away from her. My sister didn't plan anything with her while I was home. The friend had recently suddenly lost her fiancé. He choked on a bone at Thanksgiving dinner, so I think nothing of it. Go on with my visit home. Mom and I are getting lunch, and this woman is approaching our table. We lock eyes. She has a wry smile. She says hi to my mom. Mom looks at me awkwardly and introduces us. I recognize the name that combined with Mom's. Subtle awkwardness let me know this was the friend I was told to leave alone. She asked if I needed company while I was home and that we should go out right in front of Mom. I didn't want to be rude, so I said sure, call Mom's house later, and well, figure it out. Didn't have my first cell phone until a few years later. So the go-to-date spot in my hometown was the movie theater. I had been out of country and there was no internet. So I had not seen any movie trailers. I picked a Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan movie. Rom-com has to be a great choice, right? Sleepless in Seattle. It is for those that may not remember that movie. The whole first part is Tom Hanks lamenting the loss of his lady. This chick just lost her fiancé. She was bawling early. I suggested we leave, but she insisted we stay. She said she needed this. I felt so bad. She cried through the whole movie as we were leaving. I was continually apologetic. I was planning my escape to get home. She suggested we get a drink back at her place, the house she shared with her fiancé until recently. On the way there, she explains that she knew he had been cheating on her with a girl from his work. As soon as we get inside, she pushes me against the wall and starts going to town on me. She was aggressive. She was strong. She had my guy out in no time. We started right there, and then with the best hand job in my life, then just kept going for a couple days. Like almost constantly, we broke for water, and she would cook a couple things here and there. But we were right at it. Part of it was, the conversations were too damn crazy. The best way to stop taking was to start having sex again. After 2 days away, my mom called and asked if I was going to spend some time with the family before I had to go back. That's what got me out of there. We talked on the phone a bit and snuck one more session in before I left. It may have been great sex, but it was a horrible date. And I was an asshole for leaving the fam for a couple days. Edit fell into a homonym trap. Story 3 from user High Lampworking. I've told this story on Reddit before, and this is 100 true. With no exaggerations, this was around 2008. OkCupid was brand new, and she looked like a blonde version of Uma Thurman in Pulp Fiction. Her profile was pretty standard. No red flags, we exchanged a few messages, and then I asked her out, offering to pick her up since she didn't have a car, which wasn't unusual, because she lived near the metro, and take her to my favorite first date place in the city. I arrive at her house, which actually turns out to be her parents' house. She was in her mid-20s, and she's sitting on the front porch, talking on her cell phone and smoking a cigarette. I don't smoke. And her profile said, non-smoker. So that was an unpleasant surprise. She waved as I walked up, smiled and mouthed a hi and continued her phone conversation. I stood there for at least 5 minutes as she kept talking, and it wasn't anything important. Just chit-chat crap. Keep in mind, this is our first impression of each other. She got off the phone and apologized as if it was a work emergency, and I hadn't just been sitting there listening between the phone and cigarettes. I'm already feeling the wheels coming loose. But she seemed so sweet now, and looked great, well-dressed, bright eyes and a big smile. She even smelled great, not like a smoker. So the night went on. We get in my car, head to dinner, and I start with the normal early first date conversation topics. But shortly she started zoning out and casually pushing and turning every knob and button she can reach: AC heat, stereo seat, warmers, defroster, everything. I ask why. She says she wants to hear music. The radio was already on, but I show her to the tuner buttons anyway. We're 5 minutes into the car ride, and I thinking that this first date might be an only date. So taking her to my favorite first date place might not be a good idea. Maybe someplace closer to her house. Instead, she finds the top 40 teen pop station and starts raving about the music, saying she's a musician and loves to perform. She asks if I want to hear her sing, and all I could do at this point was say, Sure, she starts literally whispering along with the song for about half a verse and a chorus, and then looks at me. Asks what? I think? I assumed she was joking, so I said, "That was great," and the smile immediately disappears from her face. She looks like I just slapped her, which was ironic because she then punched me hard in the arm and called me an asshole. Then cranks the volume up and starts scream-singing along while giving me the evil eye and calling me a asshole again in between lyrics. I'm making a logical guess. She must be on something she didn't smell like booze. So maybe it is pills. No idea. All I know is this woman that I've known for less than a half hour has violent tendencies, is not thinking clearly, and she's still in my car. I've got to get her home without being attacked or puked on or whatever, right? About when I find a place to make an illegal U-turn, she leaned over and started licking the side of my face from my neck up into my ear while rubbing my crotch with her hand and whispering something incoherently. Now I'm terrified, gripping the wheel, 1,000-yard stare on my face straight ahead, speeding back to her house while she pounds on my ear and licks my cheek. She eventually loses interest and gazes out the window, humming to herself. We pull up in front of her parents' house, and she doesn't seem to notice. Just gazes out the window and then all of the sudden snaps, too, and says, "Wait, are we home?" I said something like, "Yeah, tonight just wasn't going to work out." Sorry. She got out of the car with a sort of confused, happy look on her face and went inside. I went home, had several strong drinks, and went to bed. I woke up the next morning, and there were about 100 missed calls on my cell phone from a number I didn't know I got in my car to go to work. And that is when I found her cell phone on the floor of the car. It also had dozens of missed calls, but on her phone they all came up as Mom. When I got to work, I messed her on occupied. "I found your phone, we'll get it back to you ASAP." And then I deleted my number from her contacts list, put it in an envelope with no return address, and overnight edit to her house, never heard from her again. Story 4 from user Ellie272. Oh man, probably my Philly date. Sorry, it's going to be a long post, so strap in kids, meet this guy on a dating app. Seems nice and funny in text and on the phone. We decide to make dinner plans in the city. I'm from the suburbs, so he suggests meeting in his apartment lobby. BC parking is right next door. Me, okay, great, just send me the address. Him, oh, it's not hard to find him at the super fancy app. Me, okay, but like what's the street address? Him, oh, you don't need, it's easy to just find it by name. Okay, fine, I plug in the ritzy name, get the address and meet him there. He comes down to greet me, apologizes BC. His giant dog is refusing to be crated and asks if I don't mind waiting a bit while he tries one more time. I offer to help, so we go and get him crated. He offers me a drink, which I politely refuse, but comment on his watch being kind of cool. It was blue, and I love blue watches. Only to have this conversation. Me, oh nice. Watch him. Thanks. It's really expensive brand. Me, oh that's sweet. Him, yeah, it has real diamonds in it. Guess how many? Me, IDK 1. Him 22. It cost me some insane number. Me, oh cool. Regretting ever mentioning the damn thing. So I ask about what the dinner plans are, and he asks if it's alright that we stop at his colleague's birthday party because he forgot about it and told her he would. He tells me that he actually can't stand her and how she's a huge and so rude. But it's office politics, I'm already in the city, and more rando people to meet. So sure, literally spends the entire walkover complaining and apologizing in advance for putting me in the same room as this awful human. We get their rooftop party. And I realize that I stand out like a sore thumb. I'm in a tidy maxi skirt with a tank top and some wedges. And these people are all dressed like they're going for cocktail hour at the plaza. Cool, cool. My date immediately introduces me to his office bros, who then proceed to bro out about work, while I stand there trying to even figure out what they're talking about for reference. I'm a chemist. These guys were all in sales or finance. We have very different abbreviation interpretations. Eventually, I get bored of being ignored and decide to excuse myself to get a drink while I'm pouring a glass of wine. Another girl whom I haven't met comes over and asks me if I know anyone at the party. When I explain that I'm a +1, she offers to rectify it and leads me over to a group of girls, introducing me to each one. She asks me if I need anything, asks where I'm from, and genuinely tries to include me in conversation. We bullshit about music and life for about an hour until it starts storming me. Damn, it's raining. That really sucks for the birthday girl. It was supposed to be such a nice night, her. Oh no. She'll probably just move the party inside with that. She takes her glass and invites everyone down to get apartment. She's the one who's having the damn birthday after all his complaining. This freaking Cinderella of a human being is the girl he's been bitching about. I follow inside with my date, who has just now realized that I'm becoming friends with his nemesis. We all sit around the bar table and chat a while longer, but at this point, Date has decided to pout because things aren't going his way and he's not happy. So I've had it. I thank the girl for a lovely time, wish her the happiest of what's left of her birthday, and tell her I'm heading out. Date hears this and decides to join me. Ironic, since I've maybe heard a grand total of 10 sentences from him all night. We get out of the apartment, and he asks what I want to do next. While I'm mentally charting my route home already, he follows me downstairs and out the doors to the street where it's pouring. He's still whining and now complaining about losing money. Big, he has to call and Uber me. You know what? It's a nice night for a run in the rain. I take my shoes off and sprint skirt in hand through the city, leaving him shouting and chasing behind me for the record. His apartment was in Rittenhouse, and we were all the way out by the library and the Academy of Natural Science. So yes, I ran something like 10 blocks in the pouring rain with thunder and lightning in my bare feet in a mostly white skirt through the streets of Philly to get away from this idiot who was now following behind me. I've never run faster in my life. I miss that 20-something endurance, the icing on the cake. I finally get to the parking garage, and by the time I can find my ticket to pay, he's caught up to me and actually had the audacity to say, "So we should do this again sometime." Yeah, that's gonna be a no. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and write comments. See you later.